for a few housekeeping issues this morning. You should have been muted when you entered. If not, please mute yourself and stay muted until you're called upon. We're going to have a brief presentation and then we'll open the floor for questions. You can also place your questions in the chat. When it's time to ask a question, if you'd like, just raise your hand electronically and you'll be called on. If you have a situation that is something that's going to be, complicated to describe and you'd like to have somebody hear from you, let us know. We have people who are on the call who can break out and talk to you and get the information from you and do some research for you and get back to you with an in-depth response later on. We try to keep these somewhat general so that we can get as many questions answered as possible. We are recording this later on today. The video will be posted on our YouTube channel and the link will be posted on social media. We've got wonderful, wonderful social media. When you, this presentation will also be posted. Please go to our social media and sign up. We've got wonderful, wonderful information that's coming out on all four different social media platforms every day. So please make sure that you take advantage of that. Do we have our director here?
Yeah, good morning, Avis.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good.
Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you our esteemed and fabulous and motivating director, Dawud Abraham.
Oh, thank you, Avis. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning on the community open forum session where we listen as DPIE for any concerns or questions you may have on our permitting system. DPIE has been involved over the last, this is our third month, I think, doing stepped up enforcement regarding zoning, tall grass and open containers, dealing with upkeep of our existing homes, quality of life issues. The first month in March, I think we spent on education and making our communities aware of what is allowed or not allowed in terms, specifically on businesses, illegal businesses that are conducted in subdivisions, in single-family homes, those kind of things that are not going to be, permitted. For instance, people are preparing food in their homes and selling food. That's not allowed, as an example. But there are certain things that are allowed, a small business in single-family homes, and that education part went the entire March, and then now we are in the enforcement phase, and we'll bring those businesses that are not permitted, and they can be permitted based on the code. And we give people to permit their businesses until there's amnesty until July, sometime in July, I think. But those businesses that cannot be permitted by zoning code basically are going to be told to cease and desist. We cannot allow, for instance, preparing food in single-family homes and having people to come to the homes for people to purchase food. That's not allowed because that's not healthy. The health department will not allow it. So a business like that will never ever be permitted in this county. So anyway, with that, I don't want to belabor the point. We'll just listen to your concerns. We'll try to answer your questions and concerns today. If not, we'll get back to you if you leave your name and contact number, phone number, or email address, and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we'll hear from our acting Deputy Director, Mary Giles.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mary Giles. I'm the Acting Deputy Director for DPIE's Permitting and Licensing Division and our Plan Review Divisions and Building Plan Review and Site Road Plan Review Division. We are here today to answer any questions you may have about the permit process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our Deputy Director, Lamont Hinton, sends regards. He wasn't able to make the meeting today. He's off doing DPIE business elsewhere, so he sends his regards to everybody. Now we'll hear from some of our leadership at our Associate Director level. Val Carey from Enforcement.
Morning from the Enforcement Division. My name is Valerie Carey. I'm the Associate Director of the Enforcement Division, and I have some of my colleagues on with me, starting with Mr. Walter Bama, who is the Zoning and Single Family Housing Code Enforcement Officer. And I have Mr. Ronald Waters, who is currently acting as the Code Enforcement Officer for Single Family Rental and Short-Term Rental. And I'm looking, I also have Supervisor Tony Baston from Single Family Housing. So I think we can all, I'm looking for Calvin Saunders. I don't see him on my screen. Oh, there he is. And I have the Code Enforcement Officer for Multifamily Housing. So if you have any questions after our presentation, we'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll have Assistant Associate Director Karen Spears for permitting and licensing.
Good morning and welcome to the DPIE Third Thursday. I'm Karen Spears, the Assistant Associate Director for the Permitting and Licensing Division, where you would submit your applications for your homeowners, residential type projects, commercial building projects, use and occupancy permits, trade permits, such as for fire and electrical and mechanical. And we're here to assist you. Our permit center is open Monday through Friday. Especially to assist our residential homeowners with their projects, their questions, submitting their applications and things of that nature. I have with me today Mr. Clarence Mosley, who is the Permit Center Manager, and he would be who you could contact if you have any questions regarding your project, your application, your permit, along with his very capable staff. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you very much. Now from a building plan review, we have Chief Nabil Wasim.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Nabil Wasim. I'm with the Building Plan Review Division. My unit basically conducts all your plan review services for residential and commercial, for code compliance, for architectural, ADA, and energy codes. The plan review that my unit touches on is building, structural, electrical, fire, life safety, health, mechanical. I'm happy to be here and answer any of your questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Do we have George Holmes from Inspections on? No. We have Acting Associate Director Ray de Guzman. Sorry, Ray, I didn't see you down there.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Davis. My name again is Ray de Guzman. I'm the Acting Associate Director for Site Road Plan Review Division. We are responsible for grading permit, floodplain management, and some structural components of the grading permit. If you have any questions about a permit that's you see out there, please feel free to make those questions today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You'll hear from some of our other experts as we move along with the program. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Mr. Ed Hall and Ms. Tyler Dutch, who are serving as our tech directors today, and also Cindy Manuel, who put together the beautiful PowerPoint that we'll be showing in a few minutes. There are a number of other people to say thank you to, but I just want to make sure that we get those people in there. Okay, without further ado, Ed will go ahead and start. We're going to do a brief PowerPoint presentation and then give you as much time as possible to ask your questions and have those answered. Thank you very much. So this is an open forum. And we start off here with a photograph of something that's not allowed in most cases in residences, operating a nail salon. There are some cases where it's allowed, but it has to be permitted. So that's an example of a business that can be operated under certain circumstances. And you'll hear more about that later. Next slide, Ed. This is a brief greeting from our director. Make sure that you read that. Next slide. Okay, this page is a wonderful resource for you. It's got email addresses and phone numbers for the agency, and it sort of breaks down for you what each of the divisions does. When you receive it electronically, those links are active, so you'll be able to click on those and get the information that you need. Next slide. This is our social media. Tyler, who is on the call here, is sort of our social media chief. She's making sure that so many things that we're doing at DPIE are getting posted on the website, on our website, on Facebook, X, Instagram, LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Cindy Manuel also, for a long time, has been the person who's been in charge of our social media with my assistance. So just make sure that you sign on to those and get that information every day. Next slide. Now we'd like to ask Associate Director Val Carey to join us. She's going to talk a little bit about enforcement and code violations. Val?
Thank you, Avis. So in this open forum, we figure most people want to ask questions that they don't have the opportunity to ask our enforcement division. So we're going to try to cover those questions. I have the people who can answer them. So we'll start with what constitutes a code violation. The county code stipulates the condition that each property in this county is to be maintained. And it is the enforcement division's responsibility to enforce the county code. And what I tell people is basically just be a good neighbor. Keep your property clean, your grass cut. Just do what you would like to see done in your neighbor's property. No trash and furniture out in the front yard. You know, that couch that looks really good in your basement, you know, doesn't really go well under a tree in your front yard. Those types of things. Next slide, please. So our director alluded to our stepped up enforcement initiative, and this is something that we've been working on since March. The county executive gets a lot of complaints from homeowners about people who are conducting businesses out of private residence. Businesses such as auto repair, you know, cars parked on the street and on a driveway, and a guy's running an auto shop out of his garage in a neighborhood. Food service, restaurants that are being operated out of private homes, parties that are being, homes that are being turned into nightclubs, basically, where tickets are being sold, alcohol is being served and sold. So we have what we've called a stepped up initiative, and we're going out in the community and educating the community on the businesses that can be conducted from your home. Some can be with permits, and businesses that just cannot be conducted from a private residence as per the zoning code. So our stepped up initiative has been active since March. We've handed out a lot of literature. We've brought a lot of businesses into compliance, people who really didn't know that they couldn't run a Amazon warehouse out of their garage. So we've been very successful, and we will be in this initiative throughout the summer months. And the next slide, Avis, please. And this is just what you can do from your home, but you need a permit. You need to get a use and occupancy permit. These are the small businesses that you can run from your home. You can have a nail salon, a hair salon in your home. You just have to get a permit. Everything you do just has to be permitted. Go into the next slide, please. Now, this is what you cannot do. And as I spoke of earlier, you can't have a restaurant running from your private home. You can't turn your backyard into a bazaar and sell products from your home. You can't have weekend parties where you rent out your pool and you rent out your basement and you serve alcohol and food and charge money and tickets. Those are the types of things that you cannot do from your private residence. Next slide, please. So this is just more businesses that can't come into compliance. Next slide, please. So parking commercial vehicles in residential areas, this is a tricky one in so much as what constitutes a commercial vehicle. And if I think Mr. Edelin is on this call, I saw him, I'll have him explain to you in more detail what a commercial vehicle is or is entitled. So move on, please. So these are the most frequent code violations we get: running businesses out of residences, people performing automotive work, people doing unpermitted residential or commercial construction on their home, having trash and debris around their home and in their yards, and parking commercial vehicles in their driveways. Next slide, please. I think we've pretty much covered this. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to turn this over to Avis, and we will tell you about the unpermitted construction.
Thank you. Do we have somebody on? Mr. Mosley, could you speak about this? I know this is off the cuff, but would you mind just talking about unpermitted construction?
Yeah, good morning, Avis. I believe Kevin is on with us.
Is Kevin on? Okay.
Yes.
Kevin, could you take this one? Just discuss a little bit about unpermitted construction and why it's not a good idea.
Okay. Well, just for everyone, I can go through this slide. However, I hadn't had a chance to go through it to see if everything was correct. But I'll give a little brief information on what we do. I'm Kevin Green with the Inspections Division. I'm the code enforcement officer that oversees the illegal construction, both residential and commercial section. What we do, we basically field any type of complaints we get and investigate those complaints to see if they're accurate, if the location where the complaint is about, whether they have a valid permit. If they do not have a valid permit, then we basically either cite the location or write a correction order or a building violation. We also issue fines that range from $250 to $1,000 for each infraction. So if the homeowner or business has done building, mechanical, electrical, that is $3,000. So we definitely want you to get permits for any work. If you have any questions, whether you need permits, contact DPIE, contact the Inspections Division, and we'll let you know whether you need the permits for that. We'll also have information online for that.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
A few years ago, the leadership of DPIE really focused on educating the public about not purchasing properties, not buying homes without checking to see if everything was permitted. You've seen those TV shows where, flippers sell these beautifully, renovated homes. Well, what people do here, realtors, contractors, not legal ones, illegal ones. They purchase properties cheap, do cheap repairs, as Kevin was talking about, and then sell them. And then we get phone calls from people with broken hearts who plug in the blow dryer and something sparks. They go out on the deck and it's rattly or whatever. So please, 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 before you buy anything, you can check to make sure that whatever features, extra features are in that home were permitted. There's information on this slide that you can click on and find out about what you can do to protect yourself from flippers. Next slide, please. We get a lot of calls from people wondering, what kind of complaints DPIE handles and what kind of complaints other agencies handle. We do cross with other agencies on a number of issues. For instance, parking. We handle complaints of vehicles parked on residential lots, on unpaved areas, commercial vehicles in driveways, if they meet certain stipulations, untagged vehicles, etc. The Revenue Authority handles abandoned vehicles, wrecked and junk vehicles parked on the roads, etc. and the police department handles vehicles parked in no parking zones. So the next two slides you can go through on your own, and it'll give you information about which agency you should address your concerns to. Remember, the first call should always be to PGC 311. Next slide, please. And the one after that. Thank you. Okay. The DPIE Public Information Office is headed by me. We try to provide you with any information that DPIE has. You're welcome to it. We publish a number of bulletins and publications. As I said earlier, our social media is really, really active. We have a lot of information on our website. You can also get information under the Maryland Public Information Act by applying for that. We've got processes that are going in place here in the next week or so, where you'll be able to search for permits. You're already able to search for it, but we want you to do more of that. Then if you need a copy of the permit, reach out and we'll make a copy of it. We'll also be able to help you find some additional information electronically, so you don't have to wait what can be up to 30 days for us to produce it, and also to pay for it. If you look for it online, then you get it for free. So we'll be posting information about that on our website, and sending out some information over GovDelivery to explain what's happening with that. Next slide, please. We have a lot of information that is available in Spanish and other languages. If you see something that you'd like translated and we don't have it translated into another language, let us know and we'll do that for you. If you check our resources page on the DPIE website, you can see just an abundance of information, everything from one-pagers to booklets to brochures and PowerPoint presentations that'll help you with getting the information out. A lot of HOAs will take advantage of what we have online and maybe copy it out and provide it to their members. It's not good to confront people who are violating, but you're always welcome to use the information to put it out on your community listservs and to send it to people so that they can be aware. Some people violate because they don't realize they're violating. So we like to make sure that the information is there to help them out. Next slide, please. Remember, every call should be to 311 first, or you can report it online to 311. 311 is a wonderful, wonderful resource. They do a great job of taking in complaints, sending those complaints to the appropriate agency, and then helping us to follow up. So make sure that you, for any kind of request for service or a complaint, that you reach out to PGC 311 first. If you haven't heard anything after a few weeks, then you're welcome to reach out to me. My information is next. Ed, next slide, please. So you're welcome to reach out to me for any of your information needs after that. Okay, thank you so much for listening. We can take the presentation down now, Ed, please. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask, if you would raise your hand electronically, we'll get to some of those questions. People have been asking questions in the chat. We try to repeat some of them that are in the chat because a lot of times people don't want to access the chat in meetings. So we'll go ahead and take your questions from the floor. Jay Brinkley, please.
Hi, good morning. I have a question in regards to, I guess, I live in the southern part of the county, in Brandywine area, and they have been building a lot, and traffic is horrendous, and it continues to get worse. There have been some adjustments that were made to Branch Avenue initially, and then they added a light, which was needed, but then it backs up all of the traffic, and they continue, like Timothy Branch community is coming. They made a back road to go to the Brandywine Shopping Center, but then they've added a whole community that now clogs that whole roadway. So we've been in this area for 19 years and have seen the transformation over time, but you are literally, like, just to get down Branch Avenue from my home to get to work, I'm almost 2 hours. And the majority of the time is not in DC. The majority of the time is getting past the hospital just down Branch Avenue, because it takes almost 30 minutes just to get that one short section from the high school to that first light. And as the communities continue to build, it's great to see community growth, but the capacity that the rate at which the community is growing versus the capacity that the roadways can hold it just becomes so overwhelming. So I'm just wondering if there are any plans to either halt the, the building at a certain point, or make some roadway changes? Like how are we gonna balance out the transportation piece of it with the rate in which builders are able to tear down land and build?
Okay. Would like to take that one. Mary, can you take that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one. In the Brandywine area, there is something called a Brandywine Road Club, and most development projects pay money into that road club in order to proceed to development. Several of the Brandywine projects have been constructing road improvements or will be constructing road improvements. For example, Timothy Branch, as you mentioned, constructed a spine road in the last few years, just that connects the Brandywine Crossing Shopping Center up to Brandywine Road. There's another development project that's seemingly in the early stages that's going to construct a segment of that same roadway from Brandywine Road up to 301 with a light. There's another development project called Calm Retreat that will be installing a signal on 301 and widening some lanes along north and south of the project. So as projects come in, they are being required, many of them are being required to spend those road club monies to, improve the 301 Route 5 area. 301, as you know, is a major highway that not only carries county traffic, but statewide traffic through it. So any one development project can't possibly widen 301 enough for, the true needs, but, each project is sort of chipping away at building bits and pieces of the Brandywine Road Club roadway improvements. So
just as a quick follow-up, and then, I appreciate that feedback. The problem is that when they put in the construction, for example, the Costco shopping center, they were supposed to add that spine road at that time. It didn't happen until development of Timothy Branch came. Then they built the spine road. But with that spine road comes the increase, like if you've ever, I don't know if anybody's familiar with this area, that spine road, they are putting in townhouses and single family homes packed on every single square foot of land on that spine road. So with that, so it didn't happen when the construction came up the shopping center, which backed up 301. Then they created it, and now they've added more traffic to it. So it doesn't really relieve. So even though I'm hearing that there are some roadways that are coming, some expansions that are coming, they're also coming with people, right? So they're adding to it as they're building. So it's not necessarily fixing the problem. And so there's a problem with the balance or the ratio in which we are allowing land to be sold and developed versus the traffic to actually be able to get through for the people who live in the area. So, and I'm not sure that there's a solution for us to discuss right now, but it is a concern. And it's a concern, especially for those who've been in the neighborhood a long time and, have experienced what it was before and what it's continuing to grow to be, because it makes commuting in and out of the county just absolutely ridiculous. But thank you for the feedback.
Thank you for sharing your concern. Evelyn?
Good morning.
I didn't mean to be too familiar, but there was no last name there, so I apologize.
My name's Evelyn Davis, and I live in West Laurel. Good morning.
Good morning.
My question concerns the lack of information and feedback coming back from DPIE when you file a complaint. I have 2 complaints that I filed in October of last year, and the kind of answers I've been getting, it's it was cited. It's in an administrative appeal. We're going to have to re-inspect it. We're going to have to, it might be enforced abatement, but I can't get any definitive answers. I have an email from you, Ms. Lester, in February, where you promised that someone would review it and establish a plan of action. And as far as I can tell, nothing has been done.
Can you give us the address?
The address of the property is 15605 Bradford Drive. There is a hideous, humongous pink trailer with ice cream pictures all over it. And then there's a second pink trailer. I believe that one was cited for parking on the grass. They should not be on a residential property. It really makes the neighborhood look horrible. I just want an answer as to if it's in violation and what can be done and when it's going to be done. I can't get that information.
It's in violation.
Yes, it is in violation. Check the status of that.
My name is Walter Ballman. If I can add a little bit more to that, the processes that you see in the 311 notification, the property owner has rights as far as, we can't really disclose what issues they have been given. But when you see that it's in violation and it has been given a citation, we're allowing the process.
311 has not been updated. I got this, no, not since October, when they told me that it will be resolved by December 23rd.
Okay, so we have to allow the legal process to play out. Sometimes it goes back and forth between the owner and the legal process. So when you put in a request for some of those things, it can take sometimes a year to maybe 2 years for finally to get the process taken care of. But if you see that those things are moving through, we are definitely looking at it. And
is there a mechanism to let the complainer know what the status of and how it's progressing through the system? Because when you tell me it's an administrative appeal, what does that mean? And how long if there's an appeal process, there's usually timeframes associated with it.
So if I could jump in here, I'm looking at this case and we have been working on it from the time you complained originally in October. The problem, it isn't really a problem, but the process we have is the adjudication process is out of our hands. So we can't always give you it's a separate and should be a separate entity. So we are at I don't want to say mercy, but we have to depend on that process to work itself through before we can do anything. And I'm looking at it now, and we have been, since you complained in October, we have been working on this. And it looks like the last touch was in February 20th. And I'll have to chase that down.
That was my question. Is there a way that you all can communicate what is going on so that you're not sitting here? So I'm not sitting here thinking nothing is happening.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that. And see, what I will tell you is we can talk to you about some of the things that are going on.
I understand that. I work for the government too, so I understand.
Great, so you get it. We can give you some information, and you're correct. We can let you know that it isn't just languishing on someone's desk somewhere. But as what we're specifically doing, we have to be careful with that.
Yeah, well, I was left feeling that I was getting the runaround or that nobody was paying attention to it. And yes, I would think that would be important to you to know. This is the way that people feel when they file a complaint and they don't hear anything.
So what I'll tell you is if you can contact me directly after this, then I may be able to fill you, not in this form, but I may be able to fill you in a little more as much as I can as to where the case stands now.
And how do I contact you?
I'll put my information in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, I am also, this is Tony Best. I'm the supervisor in that area. Mr. Brockington is he's working on the case. He's my inspector on that case. I'll also put my information in the chat and you can give me a call. But as my code and associate director have said, it's moving through the process and we're monitoring it. We can give you as much information as we're allowed to, but you definitely can give us a call.
Okay, and know this. Those folks that are living in that house are renting the house from a gentleman who lives in Florida. I don't know whether you're aware of that or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Barbara Soner Webb.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Is DPI enforcing what is on the books of the regulation of 4-inch maximal lettering on vehicles? And if so, how can we get it enforced? There are lots of vehicles in West Laurel that have been reported for years in 311 with no effect.
Thank you. Val?
This is Walter Balmer. If the vehicle is on the street, then that would have to go to the Revenue Authority.
No. These have been moved to Revenue Authority has actually been wonderfully responsive in West Laurel. They have been terrific. So all these people have moved them into or have had them in the driveways. So it is DPI.
Okay, and do you have specific 311 complaint numbers that we can look into?
Unfortunately, the person who was doing it for West Laurel has cancer and her computer died. And so she doesn't have a copy of it, but 311 should have a copy of all the complaints from West Laurel. They should be able to pull those out from West Laurel and 4-inch or something like that. I assume there's my search engine on my computer could find it easily at least. So I assume that 311 could.
I'll put my information in the chat and you can contact me directly. We can look for it.
I appreciate that so much, Mr. Balmer.
Thank you so much. Once again, I don't mean to be too familiar, but it just says Eric.
Yes, thank you. This is Eric Yule. Thank you for this forum. It's definitely appreciated from the communities. What can we do or how can we proceed with events that occur repeatedly over the weekend? My initial meetings with the community association and when DPI representation was there was that we do not have inspectors that work over the weekend. So events that occur over the weekends pretty much can't be checked.
So may I ask you real quick, sir? I tried to ask you this in the chat. So
I had to switch to my mobile from my mobile to a laptop. Sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. What type of events are you speaking of?
So I made the background one of the refuse of the events.
Okay, so are you talking about parties?
Every Sunday, like clockwork.
Okay.
It's traffic issues, it's noise issues, and then the trash, and then the bottle. It's like living next to a nightclub.
That's what I was asking. So you're saying that on Saturday night into Sunday you have this issue?
Sunday, unfortunately, Sunday into Monday when I got to get up and go to work.
Sunday night into Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we do have inspectors out on Saturdays, and we have them out. Let me finish.
Okay.
We have them out on Saturdays. We do not have inspectors out on Sundays unless they're going to a particular event. They have to license. We have to inspect and license special events. So I do have zoning inspectors out on Sundays for those occasions. We would, in your case, we're going to have to rely on our partners at the police department. If they can at least document what happens, then we can turn around and enforce. We can cite what they see. We just need someone to see it, document it, and we can cite it after the event. But if you could, you see Mr. Balmer's information in the chat. If you could reach out to him directly, and maybe we can work together and try to get your problem solved.
Okay, because I have reached out to PG County. Sometimes they'll stop, sometimes they won't. It all depends on how backed up they are.
And I understand that, but we can collaborate with them and work together and see if we can get your problem solved.
Okay, because the stuff I'm showing here is available for viewing during the week, because when trash pickup comes, it honestly takes 2 recycle persons to empty out the bottle full trash bins that they have. So I would definitely.
Yeah, man, it looks like they're having a pretty good little party going. So if you could
just every weekend, it's like clockwork. It's not once in a while.
Okay, so if you could just reach out to Mr. Balmer and we can get some specifics from you, it would help us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Patricia Clarkson. I'm sorry, Patricia Clark Jackson. I apologize.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yes, thank you. I have with 3 issues, but I'll make them real quick. On Patterson Street from Riverdale Road, where the new road had opened up from when the purple line, the train is coming.
Mhm.
And when you're coming down Riverdale Road and turning into Patterson, there's no stop sign and there's no light. And when they first opened up that road, they had closed all the other ones. They closed all the other ones, like these Mustang and East Pine, and it was just so congested. So now they have opened East Pine. But the point is, when I make it is that when you turn into Patterson, there was no stop sign and there's no light. And there was almost several accidents, especially like on the weekends when there's a lot of traffic. And also there's 2 company cars that park right on both corners. And you cannot see. And I think that's one of the reasons why there was almost accidents there, because you can't see. And these trucks are only parked there in the evening at 5 o'clock and on the weekends. So I'm just so shocked that they did not put a stop sign or a light from Riverdale Road coming on to Patterson.
Thank you. Traffic issues are handled by the Department of Public Works and Transportation. My counterpart there is Nia Brown. If you will put your information in the chat, ma'am, I can contact her right after this meeting and ask her to give you a call so you can discuss this with her.
I appreciate that.
We can do a 3-way. So just if you could put it in the chat. Or if you
Okay.
don't mind saying it now, you can just tell me now.
Okay. You said, my contact number 240-461-4329.
Okay.
Patricia Clark Jackson.
4329. I got you.
East Pine Jack. And one more thing too.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a community. It's called East Pine Associations. It's a community property inside of the residential area. Right now it's temporarily closed because they was having parties on some Friday and every Saturday night, and was bringing a lot of traffic into the neighborhood and loud music. So they didn't have an occupancy permit. So right now it's temporarily shut down. The people that lives on this end, we don't want that clubbing, nightclubbing in our neighborhood. According to the public records, it's supposed to be a health club, but they had made it into a nightclub. During the daytime, it's nonprofit, and on the weekends, it is fully it's not operating as a nonprofit because the people in East Pine, we cannot get on the board. The board has people on it that don't even have deeds.
Yes, ma'am.
They are not homeowners. Okay. So I know that's out of your hand, but what the community want that's on this end, on the couple houses on East Pine, Patterson and Pohan Street, we don't want that partying from that association center anymore.
Okay.
Ms. Jackson, if I can add to that, I am very aware of that situation, and they are, like you said, they are closed down now. They have to go through the permitting process in order to reopen. So it's going to be a little bit of time before they are able to do anything. I am allowing them to hold the community service in the parking lot, but that has to come up for review every month. Okay. So they are in the process of correcting that.
Okay. Is there any way that we can just, stop that partying in a residential neighborhood?
Well,
what do we have to do on this end to stop it?
Again, they do not have a use and occupancy, and they're not allowed to operate in that setting at this present time. So, whatever the permit comes out as, if and when, you know, they'll have to abide by that.
Okay. Any way that we can follow up on it for the ones that lives in this area?
I think that's all of the information that I can give you at this time.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yep.
One more thing. There might be several transition homes that's in East Pine, and I was wondering do PG have any regulations on that, or just as long as they get a business license or rental license, they can operate a transition home?
Again, there's a lot of stipulations that go along with operating the transition home or group home or that, you know, some are regulated by the state, some are regulated by federal, some are regulated by the county. So, you know, each individual transition home has specific rules and regulations that they have to abide by. And some do need permits, some do not need permits, but, you know, each one is a specific case in its own.
Oh, really? Okay. Thank you.
Ms.
Okay.
Jackson, you're welcome
Yes.
to send any questions you have, or my information is in the chat.
Okay.
Send any additional information and we can have it, any additional questions that we can have it forwarded and get you some answers, okay?
Thank you. All right.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thomas, I don't want to cold pusher. Hope I didn't destroy that.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I have a question. I was trying to get a permit, and I thought this was a website, but this must be your regular monthly meeting with the representatives. So I'm on the wrong website to check my status on my permit for a building permit.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're in a meeting. There are people on here who could help you with that after the meeting, or if you want to put your information in the chat.
Okay. Thank you.
Somebody can respond to you.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, we had some questions, and I know they probably got answered in the chat. I haven't monitored, but people are emailing me saying, please read some of the questions in the chat and have people answer. So we'll ask one. We'll do one about whether or not you can have chickens in residential areas in Prince George's County. Can somebody from enforcement respond to that?
If I can get Tony to answer that one.
I was going to say, Tony's the chicken man.
And I'm the chicken lady, so.
You're on mute, Tony.
It's based on how it's zoned. If it's residential agricultural, RA, you are allowed to have livestock. And so it's based on how it's zoned. But if it's zoned, your area is zoned residential, the answer is no, you're not allowed to have residential or have livestock. So there are some areas in the county that are still rural residential agriculture, RA. If you're zoned that way, then that answer is yes. But if not, most areas are not, you're not allowed to have livestock.
Thank you very much, sir. Hannah? Did you have a question still? Hi. We can't hear you, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Who are you calling on?
Well, Hannah, did you have your hand raised?
This is Tina. I'm not sure if Hannah's in front of me.
Okay, well, how about you just ask your question then?
Okay, sorry to jump in front of Hannah. I got a thing to unmute. So I was wondering how far from the curb is the county right of way? I'm having an issue where a neighbor is walking through the part of my property that I believe is behind the right of way. And there is a fully functioning walkway, like sidewalk on the other side of the street. They're just doing it to harass me after I did a driveway project. So I need to know how wide that is. I assumed that it was the same size as the apron of my driveway. But he was like out there screaming at me that he's allowed to walk there and all this other stuff. So, anybody on the call know that, or where I might be able to find it in the code? I wasn't sure if that would be DPW&T or something else, but any information about that would be helpful. Thank you.
I can answer that, Davis.
Thank you.
Yeah, normally in a residential community, if you have a sidewalk, the property line or the right-of-way line is a foot from the edge of the sidewalk.
Okay, on this side, there is no sidewalk because there's a sidewalk on the other side of the street.
So basically it's 12 feet from the face of curb.
12 feet. Okay. Okay. Do you, if I put my email in the chat, are you able to tell me where that is cited? Because I need to do a cease and desist from my lawyer to them.
Well, if you could send your information, I'll try it. And also the question, so I could answer that formally.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Camille Mosley Hasley?
Yes, I live near across the street from a county-owned property that is leased to a nonprofit. And the building has been closed for a while, since before the pandemic. But there's a lot of activity over there, especially at night. A lot of cars pull up on the street. There's only 3 houses on the street and that property. And I did submit, and also there's a lot of trash. There's box springs, mattresses, furniture, and stuff that's sitting out back, right in my driveway, or the view of my driveway when I, come and go from my house. And I have submitted a number of 311 requests. The last one said they would get to it by June, but it's really, I was wondering if they can move a little faster on it, because it's really obnoxious to have piles of trash in front of your home. It's embarrassing when you want to have people come to visit to see, it looks like Fred Sanford's home. And I was just wondering if they can move a little faster on getting it cleared, and also seeing what's going on in there, because it looks like, even though the building is technically unoccupied, it looks like something is going on there. There's too many people that come and go. And there's a truck that seems to be working on things there. And, I don't know if this is a violation of their lease, but for the past 15 years, they have just constantly done things that irritate the neighborhood. Whether it's parking tons of junk cars there, or, the trash. What could be done to stop this?
Let me ask you, is that address 7500 Livingston?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I am very aware of that property, and we are in talks with Central Services to take care of that property. I don't have a definitive date on when we're going to be able to make a move on it, but it is at the top of my list.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? We've got another few minutes and no hands raised.
Mine's up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see your name, sir. Please go ahead.
My name is Thomas Colclaser. You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I'll start with an attaboy. 10,010 Green Forest. So many people on here have heard of that. And it was finally cleaned up after I had been submitting requests since 2018. I've made dozens of phone calls, even at least a dozen this year, to the county executive office. The only person to call me back was Mr. Balma. And that was kind of at the end of the process. Nobody called me back from the county executive's office. Okay, but the end result was good. So I want to acknowledge that. They finally cleaned it up. Okay. Second thing, our issue here is two things: expired tags, to which I've again submitted multiple requests. The most frequent response I get is they can't find a violation. Even though I have the app on my phone, I send a picture of the tag, of the car and the tag with the expired stickers on it. They go out there and say they don't find a violation. The second most response was they can't find the vehicle. So, you know, I don't know. To me, the inspector, whoever's doing it, is highly suspect. And to expand on this issue, there was a article in the New York Times last month about how this is a nationwide issue because after the pandemic, you know, they relaxed regulations, but now that they're cracking down, people are continuing to take advantage of it. And even to the point of augmenting other crimes because they've got expired tags and they can't be, you know, it's harder to identify them.
May I ask you a question, sir? Excuse me for interrupting. Is the vehicle parked in the driveway or parked on the street?
On the street in most cases.
Okay.
Not yeah.
Them.
Vehicles,
Okay.
plural.
And so that is not DPIE, that is the Revenue Authority or the Police Department. Somebody from enforcement shout out. So if you could, once again, I can do the same as I'm doing with the other resident here. If you give me your name and information, your phone number, I know your name, give me your phone number and I'll call you back and we can do a three-way with either the non-emergency police or with Revenue Authority, depending on which one, and then we can get you in touch with somebody who can help you out with that. That's unfortunately, that's not under our area of authority.
Okay.
You want to give me your phone number?
Yes, 301-434-0535.
Okay, I will give you a call back right after I call the other resident, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, one other thing is, can I talk about the new reporting system?
Well, we have two more questions. Could you talk about it? I don't mean to be rude, but we have Adrian Kroll and Wayne Wright who've been waiting. So.
All right.
We'll get back with you, I promise.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Adrian Kroll.
Good morning. Thank you for this forum. I do have a question. I have a neighbor that has too many vehicles for his property. His vehicles are all over the street. The street is just full of cars, and you know, it's difficult to even sometimes drive into my driveway. Is there a limitation on the number of vehicles the resident can have? He has like a landscaping business, and I mean, it's impossible. I just had that question. And also, he planted a tree like 4 feet from the fence line. And I know, you know, we're trying to put trees in the county and everything, but that tree is just gonna, the leaves and all that stuff is gonna be spilling over into my yard. Is there any regulation on how close to a property line you can plant a tree?
Anybody know that?
Excuse me?
I was asking my colleagues if anybody can respond to that.
Yeah, if your neighbor has installed a tree 4 feet from their fence line, they're within their rights to do so.
And
if you want, sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
If you want to give me an email about the business with the address, my information is in the chat. I'm Walter Ballmer. We can definitely take a look at it and see what we can or can't do.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Mr. Bowman. I'll do that.
Thank you very much. Okay. Wayne Wright?
Yes. I haven't heard much about the app, the 311 app. Is that still a preferred way of requesting service? And the reason why I'm asking is I use it, I've used it quite a bit in the past, and just not very few of my service requests actually get closed ever. I mean, the vast majority are just still open, and they've been they seem to be worked. You know, some of the issues have been resolved, but they never get closed in the system. That's my first question. And my second question is, Avis, we've been working on the dilapidated telephone booths.
Yes.
Do you know which direction that's going to go?
It is basically continuing to reach out to people. I spoke to Bill Edelin, sort of our zoning expert, a couple of weeks ago after you and I talked again, and he said that there may be a way for enforcement to compel the owners of the properties to remove those payphones now that they've been released to do so by the Public Utilities Commission. So that's where we are now. It's been reported and enforcement has it, and they're gonna see what they can do. But it's sort of like this gray area. Can you force them? Yes, maybe not. They may fight back about it. So I actually have on to give you a call this week to give you an update about that. But yeah, they're working on it. Did you have another question, sir?
Yeah, the first question is the app, the 311 app,
yeah.
is that a good way to get issues resolved? Because I've been using it and I never get any updates. Very few of my requests get closed.
Okay. Can somebody say, I think I saw Jennifer Hawkins on here. Jennifer, are you on?
So if she's not, yes, the 311 app or going online for 311 is the best way to get your requests in about any of the agencies in the county. So when you say some of them, you see that they're worked, it could be just like what my colleague stated, right?